All right, Rich Van Tassel back with you, continuing on with our game picks for Week 14 of the NFL season. And of course, we're recording audio for Get Live Radio. The San Francisco 49ers, 2-10, 1-5 on the road, travel to Houston to play the Texans, who are 4-8, 3-3 at home. Injuries for the visiting 49ers. Trent Brown, an offensive tackle, is questionable. For the Houston Texans, Braxton Miller, wide receiver, is out. J.J. Watt, defensive end, is an injury reserve out. Alfred Blue, running back. Jelani Jenkins, linebacker, are also out. Xavier Su'a-Filo, a guard, is questionable. Of course, you got guys like Whitney Mercilus. That does not include Deshaun Watson either on the injury report, but they are out for the season as well. It's been a really tough year for the Houston Texans with the injuries. Haven't really been able to establish anything to DeAndre Hopkins is having a very good year this year, of course, even with the inconsistent quarterback play. 77 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns already. San Francisco is clearly going to have to focus on him. They're turning to Jimmy Garoppolo again for the second straight week. Last week against the Bears, you could clearly see at times, I don't want to say he was uncomfortable in the offense, but clearly there are things he needs to wrinkle out. He needs to, get a better grasp of in this offense moving forward. So that'll be important for this, and that's what San Francisco is really looking to do these rest of the games, as well as evaluate other guys who will be there in their future plans. But it's very important for Garoppolo to continue to learn and get the offense. Houston, of course, is very injured. Difficult game to pick. You have a bad team and you have a team that's very injured. I think San Francisco with Garoppolo is going to get the victory on the road in this one. Remember, San Francisco has no reason to tank if any teams are tanking because they've already got their quarterback. So wherever they finish, they can draft basically whoever they want at the top of the draft. It doesn't matter if they're 1, 2, 4. It really doesn't matter at this point. They really want to see what they have moving forward, and I expect them to take advantage of an injured Houston Texans team in this one. San Francisco comes away with the victory in what would be at least a relatively low-scoring game, I feel. It'll be 27-17, low scoring on the Houston side of things in favor of the San Francisco 49ers in this one. The Dallas Cowboys, 6-6, 3-2 on the road, travel to New York to play the Giants, who are 2-10, 1-4 at home. Injuries for the visiting Cowboys, all listed as questionable. Tyron Smith, offensive tackle. Malik Collins and David Irving, defensive tackles. Orlando Scandrick, cornerback. And Bryce Butler, wide receiver. For the New York Giants, Justin Pugh, a guard. B.J. Goodson, a linebacker, are out. Eli Apple, cornerback. Travis Rudolph, wide receiver, and Chad Wheeler, offensive tackle, are questionable. Of course, the Giants fired Coach Ben McAdoo. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo is taking over the head coaching duties at this point. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Giants. They go back to Eli Manning. I would expect that there's going to be a bigger boost in the play, in the bravado, whatever you want to say, with the Giants this week. I expect them to be much more focused. Look, they can spoil the Cowboys season with a victory in this one. They change coaches, so that's going to definitely bring about what I would assume to be positive play in this one. I wonder about turning back to Eli Manning, where he's going to be at coming into this game. For the Cowboys, Sean Lee is back in the lineup. That's critical for them. The Cowboys absolutely have to have this. It's not going to be an easy game for the Cowboys. You've had some bad weather here in the New York area. Let's see how it is for tomorrow. The Cowboys were preparing for the elements all week. And, of course, it's a division game, so you never really know what's going to happen. A lot of talk in this area, me being from New Jersey, that there are going to be a lot of Cowboys fans, that most of the seats are being sold to Cowboys fans, so we'll keep an eye on that. Difficult game to pick. I think the Giants are going to be very game in this one, but I like the Cowboys coming away with the victory, 24-20 over the New York Giants. The Detroit Lions, 6-6, 4-2 on the road, travel to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, who are 4-8, 3-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Detroit Lions, all listed as questionable. Ezekiel Ansah, defensive end. Sam Martin, punter. Matthew Stafford, quarterback. Emmett Joseph Cleary, offensive tackle. And Amir Abdullah, running back. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Noah Spence, defensive end, is an injury reserve out. T.J. Ward, safety. Clinton McDonald, defensive tackle. Josh Robinson, cornerback, are also out. And Ryan Russell, the defensive end, is questionable. Let's see what Matt Stafford is going to have with that injury. It looked pretty serious last week, so certainly they need him. They need him to play well. He's been carrying this team all year. Marvin Jones Jr. is now their leading receiver. Of course, Golden Tate was their leading receiver at times as well. It's just shown how Matt Stafford has been distributing to a lot of different guys. Can they get the running game going? They were getting some things going last week. You got to see if they can continue on with that. If you're the Detroit Lions, for Tampa Bay, look, a lost season, a lot of high expectations coming into this year. They can certainly be a team with the weapons they have that can make it difficult on the Detroit Lions in this game. I think Tampa Bay is going to get the upset victory in this one. I think that Matt Stafford is not going to necessarily be right with that injury. They're going to struggle to run the ball, and you're going to see Tampa Bay go downfield a lot. Detroit does have a good secondary, but I think Tampa Bay is due for a good game in this one, and I expect them to score some points, and I like the 28-23 victory over the Detroit Lions, really putting a cramp in the Lions' playoff hopes. The Minnesota Vikings, 10-2, 5-1 on the road, travel to Carolina to play the Panthers, who are 8-4, 3-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Vikings. Mike Remmer's offensive tackle is out. Pat Elflein, a center, is questionable. For the Carolina Panthers, Shaq Thompson, linebacker, is out. The rest are questionable. Greg Olsen, tight end. Ryan Khalil, center. Kaleem Clay, wide receiver, and Tyler Larson, center. Carolina has been an up-and-down team. They've looked very good at times. You know, the New England victory that they've had, but their offense, while they've tried to tinker with it all season long, has cost them some games here. Their defense has come along with Bradbury and Worley in the secondary. We've been talking about that a lot. Case Keenum, of course, for the Minnesota Vikings, playing very well. The big thing with the Minnesota Vikings, as I've said, is they're starting to get Latavius Murray much more involved. He's a big physical back. He can really cause some problems for teams. He can wear teams down. Let's see if Carolina is up to the task. They have a pretty good run defense and able to shut him down and keep him limited and force the game into Case Keenum's hands. And how well will those secondary players for the Panthers play against Case Keenum? Carolina could pull off the victory in this one. Minnesota may be due for a bad game, but however, I'm still going with the Vikings in this game. I like a relatively low-scoring game with the Minnesota Vikings defense, and I think Carolina's defense will be up to the task. But Minnesota comes away with a 21-16 victory in this game, and I think that the Carolina Panthers struggle to find the end zone. All right, we will be back in just a little bit to finish up with our game picks for now week 14 of the NFL season. Be sure to stay tuned. Thank you.